The Madden community just went on strike. No, seriously, let's talk about it. So the other night, my guy Xerxes went over on Twitter and said, retweet for awareness. Myself and other creators in the community have decided to go on a pack strike. With the massive issues going on in Madden 23, we need changes. Don't buy points. Here are things that we want to see change. Join us to help make this happen. Hashtag pack strike. And while this may seem directed mostly at Ultimate Team, it's kind of grown a little bit since then. This isn't just about Ultimate Team, it's about the game as a whole. Now the pack strike hashtag actually picked up a lot of steam in the first night. It got up to number 6 trending, and the next morning on the Madden live stream, people were filling the chat with pack strike. And EA hasn't directly said anything about it, but they've indirectly let us know they've heard and they see what people are saying. Now, moments ago on Twitter, this reached an even bigger high when Jake Lucky spoke on it. This is a guy that reports on a lot of YouTubers and streamers. He's a very big account, and usually something like Madden would never really reach as far as him, but this did. He said, there is a massive strike going on in the Madden scene right now, as players and creators have called out countless glitches with game updates, terrible pack odds, people spending $1,000 and receiving nearly nothing of value, and much more. They are now boycotting with hashtag pack strike. Now, while spending $1,000 on Madden packs, in my opinion, is an insane thing to do, and I realize there's a lot of creators that do it because for them it's a tax write-off and it's what their content is based around. I get it. For the regular person, I don't think anybody should ever spend nearly that much on packs, if anything at all. I myself do play MUT, but I've never been a big spender. I might put a little bit in at the beginning of the year just to help kickstart the team because I don't have the time to grind it because I'm doing content. But outside of that, I try to grind the mode when I do have time to build up my team, and I'm never chasing the best team or the best cards. It's just never been my thing. But this year, the mode has kind of taken a turn for the worst in some ways. While the field pass that they implemented was a nice change, they also eliminated a ton of rewards from the game, like weekend league rewards, solo battle rewards, and they've even nerfed the head-to-head rewards. And on top of that, the pack odds have become the worst they've maybe ever been. People are putting money in and just not getting value back, and you could argue that putting money into the game period is never going to give you your value back, and you'd probably be right, but the fact that it has somehow gotten this much worse is a pretty big deal. But this doesn't just stop with Ultimate Team, because if you look at franchise mode, they've been striking for multiple years now. While some of them are still playing the game, they're not engaging with the game like they used to, and especially right now, many franchise users, especially online CFM guys, are waiting to start their franchises because there's too many bugs in the mode right now, and they're waiting for EA to fix it. So while franchise players might not directly be spending money in game, their lack of engagement with the game does still affect EA. That's a very big deal to them. They want their engagement up and they want their revenue up. Even if their revenue is up, if engagement is down, that's still a loss for them in some way. Now, of course, they've said they heard the feedback. They're working on franchise mode. They've heard the feedback of Ultimate Team, but they haven't really said what they're going to do to try to fix it. But I think this just kind of brings us to a bigger problem in that the game as a whole, in terms of its game modes, just seem less and less rewarding and more buggy as the years go on. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think this is a fun Madden. A lot of online players would agree. I understand that offline players probably have a different perspective, and that's okay. It's two different worlds, and I've just come to accept that online players and offline players view the game very differently. Many online players do seem to like the game this year for the most part. Outside of the O-line being awful, the online gameplay is the most fun it's been in years for a lot of people. The skill gap seems pretty reasonable, and we're having fun playing the game. That's true, but when you take a step back and you talk about the game modes, that directly affects the gameplay, because if the game modes suck or they're going in a bad direction, it does make you want to play the game less, even if the on-field game is fun. It's really unfortunate because I think this is the first time in a while that they took a pretty good step forward with gameplay. They made it more fun. They made it more of a skill gap. There's still areas that need work, but it's definitely more fun than some of these previous Madden games. But in terms of the game modes, while they have been putting more effort into some of them and adding things back to these modes and putting features in that people have asked for, you also have to take into account the amount of bugs and some of the financial decisions they've made in terms of MUT that has made the gaming experience much worse for the community. You can make the gameplay better, and that's great, but if the modes suck, you're still not giving your community a great experience, and that's what's happening right now. Franchise mode players are having bugs left and right. Some of them are having a fine time and not experiencing these bugs. Sure, those people do exist, and I've heard a lot from them, but there's also just as many people experiencing never-ending bugs, 10 to 20 different things that can happen at a given time in a franchise mode that disconnects you, kicks you out, causes your league to go backwards, causes your league to just completely restart. It doesn't matter how good the on-field gameplay is if you can't actually engage with it in a mode and have it be meaningful. And in terms of MUT, if people are putting money in, the value should be much higher than what they're getting back. Yes, if you're putting money into a game, you have to expect that you're not always going to get the best thing. You're not always going to get the biggest return. I think most people understand that. The problem is the value has gotten lower and lower and lower, and now you're giving people no reason to want to either spend money or grind the game because the rewards aren't there even if you choose to grind. This should have been a year that was better for no money spent players if the rewards were still good, but they pretty much nuked all the rewards in favor of the field pass, which is a good thing in terms of the field pass, but the rewards on the other end for winning games should still be there as well. If both of those things were coexisting, this would be a much easier year for no money spent players. It would give people a reason to grind the game, and then if pack odds and things like that were better, it would give people more confidence in spending money. Yes, I understand some people think spending any money on a game outside of the purchase is idiotic, and I understand that. But for other people, that's what they enjoy doing with their money, and if that's what they enjoy with their money, let them do it. I don't personally care what people do with their money, but I do care when the value has gotten so bad that it just feels like EA is kind of robbing some of their players blind. And on top of all that, they called this the most polished Madden in a long time, which funny enough might still actually be true, but that's just how low the bar has gotten over the past few years. The amount of bugs we saw in 21 and 22 were probably higher than this year. If you've played all these games, you know how buggy the last two were, but when they say it's supposed to be the most polished in a long time, you're not thinking from a standpoint of, well, the bar is so low that if it comes up just a little bit that, oh my God, this is so much better. You're thinking that, no, this is going to come up quite a ways. It's going to be a significant difference. And I don't think it's quite been that, especially when you look at the offline players in franchise mode. In terms of the online players in MUT, a lot of the issues people are having with the game right now are not really bugs. They're intentional decisions that have been made by EA that have just kind of taken us 10 steps backwards, and we want to just catch it back up to where we were. Increase the pack odds, give more rewards to the grinders, give people a reason to want to play your game. Yes, the gameplay has improved this year and people have talked about it nonstop, and that's great and we appreciate that, but you have to give people a reason outside of that to want to get on the game and play. It's 2022. People want a rewarding experience. They don't want to just hop into games and just play head to head all day. They want to feel like they're getting something out of it, and right now Ultimate Team is not giving people that feeling. And even for people that are literally just spending money aren't feeling that way anymore, and if those people aren't feeling that way, then you know you've kind of gone too far. In terms of the offline player, you just need to give them a game that works. They don't need things to be super rewarding in terms of getting something in return. They literally just want a game mode that works properly, and they have not had that in many years. Yes, I know it's not intentional. They don't want the game to be buggy. The intentional decisions they've made with franchise has been a good thing. Putting assistant coaches back, redoing the scouting, redoing free agency, giving people back features that they took away over the years. Those are intentional good things they did, but the unintentional bugs overshadow it all. And at the end of the day, we all just love NFL gaming. A lot of us love Madden. Some people play it that don't like it and wish to see competition return, and that's fine too, but we all have one common goal, and that is that we want a fun game to play. And right now, I would say Madden is accomplishing that in some areas in terms of gameplay being better, again, outside of the O-line, but in terms of its game modes, the things that really keep people coming back and engaged, they're kind of failing on all of these modes. MUT is not rewarding players, franchise doesn't work, Face of the Franchise is honestly just boring and way behind its competitors in the space like NBA 2K or even other EA games. And the Yard and KO, two modes that have a ton of potential to get creative with, are kind of just on the side and not really getting many updates at all. You're not giving people a reason to come back and engage with your game. And I know that they hear this, and I know that they know this has to change, but are they gonna actually change it? Are they gonna fix it? That we have to wait and see. Now that this video is out of the way, if you want to know what's coming in the next Madden update, make sure you check out this video right here on the screen.